She's a British novelist best known as the author of the Harry Potter fantasy series. The books have gained worldwide attention, won multiple awards, and have sold over 400 million copies. In 2004, Forbes named her the first person to become a billionaire by writing books. She's J.K. Rowling, and here are her top 10 rules for success.
Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. I discovered that I had a strong will and more discipline than I had suspected. I also found out that I had friends whose value was truly above the price of rubies. The knowledge that you have emerged wiser and stronger from setbacks means that you are, ever after, secure in your ability to survive. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity. Such knowledge is a true gift, for all that it is painfully won, and it has been worth more than any qualification I ever earned.
I was on the train from Manchester to London, and it came, just came.
Had something like that ever happened to you before?
Yes, truthfully. I mean, other ideas had just come to me, because I think if you're a writer, and that's what you spend a huge amount of time doing, ideas do come to you, but nothing had ever come so with such a, I thought, God, I'd love to write that, and when I got off the train I went straight home and I started writing.
It is one of the amazing and wonderful things about literature, as about film and music, is it's utterly subjective. So
it's somebody's
that's
opinion.
the point of it, you know, that's the point. Of course, you move in that world. If you expect to just stand under a shower of perpetual praise, there's something wrong with you.
Exactly right.
That, you know, you will get criticism. I knew that going in, and the funny thing is, I'm not a particularly, I was never a very confident person. In there are areas in my life in which I'm very thin-skinned, but not in this area. In this area, I think it's right and proper. I should be criticised, and that's
and can
literature.
You learn?
Did you write in here?
This is really the room. Well, I finished Philosopher's Stone in here. This is really where I turned my life around. Completely. I mean, my life changed so much in this flat. I feel I really became myself here, in that everything was stripped away. I'd made such a mess of things, but that was freeing. So I just thought, well, I want to write, so I write the book. And what is the worst that can happen? It gets turned down by every publisher in Britain, big deal. So, you know, it's really back to the old time here. My bedroom's a lot, the bedroom is a lot tidier now, God. God, that's much. This was a tip when I lived here. Oh, look, Harry Potter books. Now that's really freaky. And for years now I felt like if it all disappeared, and some days I do feel like, is it real? Then this is where I would come back to, you know, this would be my baseline. I'd be back in Leith. And obviously if I'd known that 10 years on, I'd come back here with a film crew and there would be my published books in someone else's bookcase in this room. I mean, it's really incredible to me. It really, I mean, yes. Because it's such a well-worn part of my story now, it's a big yawn to hear how I wrote it, as though it was all some sort of publicity stunt I did for a year. But it was my life, and it was very hard. And I didn't know there was going to be this fairy tale resolution. And coming back here is just full of ghosts.
I remember once, and it was like well, I'm going to call it a flash of clairvoyance now. Obviously, if it hadn't come true, it would just be some random crazy thought I'd had. But I do remember one day, writing Philosopher's Stone, I was walking away from the cafe where I'd been working.
Philosopher's Stone, which became Sorcerer's
Which became Sorcerer's Stone, exactly. So that's the first novel. And I had this moment where I suddenly thought, it was like another voice speaking to me, and the voice said, the difficult thing's going to be to get published. If it's published, it will be huge.
Wow.
And that is exactly what it was.
So there was some hint that the voice had said to you...
Well, the thing is, you've got to believe, haven't you?
Yes.
You know, I was not the world's most secure person. I wasn't someone with an enormous amount of... In fact, I'd say I was someone with not much self-belief at all. And yet in this one thing in my life, I believed. That was the one thing in my life. I felt I can tell a story. There's always trepidation. I mean, I think that people might be surprised to know that I felt trepidation every time I produced a Potter book. You know, the weight of expectation there was I won't say crushing, it was extraordinary and wonderful to have that weight of expectation.
You were
but
competing
at times,
with yourself.
Yeah, and with the expectations, latterly, of millions of fans, all of whom were very invested in the story and wanted to see what they wanted to see. And I knew where I was going, and I had to put on mental blinkers a lot and just think, I know where I'm going, I must not be influenced by this.
Given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
I often get asked by younger readers what I would advise if you want to be a writer. This is the way I did it, so that's the only advice I can give. You've got to read as much as you possibly can, because that's the best way to recognise good writing and to learn what makes bad writing, and those are very good things. You'll probably go through a phase where you imitate your favourite writers. That's perfectly okay. That's another learning process. You resign yourself to writing lots and lots of rubbish. You just got to write that out of your system, and sooner or later you'll hit what you know you really should be doing and what is your genre. And perseverance. You've got to persevere, because it's a career with a lot of knockbacks, but the rewards are huge. I don't mean in the sense that if that's what you really want to do, to be able to do it lifelong is the best thing in the world. Very rewarding. But it's not a career for people who are easily discouraged, that's for sure. And to their parents, don't tell them it's unrealistic. Never say that. Because even if they're not published writing, well, writing is the passion of my life, so it's an important thing to do. I've always wanted to be a writer. And obviously, you want to be a writer, you dream of supporting yourself through writing, definitely. But it is a bit of both, because I was very much aware that children's books, you do not, the possibility of supporting yourself solely by writing children's books is slim. That's the reality of it, which and I was fully aware of that. So in that sense, this has all come as a huge, enormous shock. I'm delighted, because I always wanted to write and always have written, but my realistic side had not allowed me to dream of half of what's happened to me, truthfully.
If you choose to use your status and influence to raise your voice on behalf of those who have no voice, if you choose to identify not only with the powerful but with the powerless, if you retain the ability to imagine yourself into the lives of those who do not have your advantages, then it will not only be your proud families who celebrate your existence, but thousands and millions of people whose reality you have helped change. We do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I made this video because Natasha asked me to, so if there's a famous entrepreneur that you want me to profile next, leave it in the comments below and we'll see what I can do. I'd also love to know which of J.K. Rowling's top 10 tips meant the most to you. Leave it in the comments. We're going to join in the discussion. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Continue to believe, and we'll see you soon.